It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist.
Welcome to Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome in to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 143 today. Really glad that you're with us to enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons for the next hour or so. So come on in, the pool is fine, the hot tub is ready to go, the grill is going full bore, fruits and vegetables off to the right, cold drinks off to the left, hot drinks inside, a hammock outside the left side door, putting greens behind the pool area, and inside the pool screened area, in the back left corner we have that cigar bar, also plenty of extra towels and lotion and chairs. You name it, we have it. So just come on in and enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. And if you're new to the show, or if you're not new, we're going to invite you to not forget, we have a show every single Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time on Spotify. And we've been doing so since July 1st of 2023. We have not missed a Saturday since July 1st of 23. But we also have a show, it seems like every Wednesday now. It's supposed to be most Wednesdays. It's turned into every Wednesday. And that is 12 noon Eastern Time on Wednesday. So come back early and often, partake in the fun. We like to hear from you early and often. Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, our website, Spotify, email, you name it, lots of ways to reach us, and we always enjoy hearing from you. Well, on today's show, as Lisa Monroe is walking in, we'll get to her segment momentarily. And then we'll have part two with David Berry and Gary KIGHT from First Coast Naturists, a non-landed nudist club in the Jacksonville, Florida area. So part two with David and Gary. Now, I don't know about you, but I hear music under my voice. Do you hear it? And let's listen together. Oh yes, I hear it. That can only mean one thing. It's time for the great, the one-of-a-kind, the completely clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the one and only, the one-of-a-kind, the completely over-the-top, fully clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing pretty good today.
Good. Weather's perked up a little. Are you getting outside, I hope?
Oh, yes, it got a little bit warmer, which makes me much, much happier.
Well, I have made a vow to myself. I guess I made this years ago. I've just never mentioned it to you. And that is, unless I'm really sick, flu or whatever, I will be naked outside every day. Now, some days that might be 20 seconds and I'm coming right back in. Other days it might be multiple hours, but doggone it, every day I'm getting out there. How about you?
Absolutely, especially here. I mean, there were times when I lived in a colder climate when I didn't go outside during the day at all if I didn't have to. But so I never made that particular vow. But yes, down here, if you can be outside even for a few minutes just to feel that air, it's wonderful. So I try to do that every day if at all possible.
That's true. You know what I hear from, we both hear the same thing, but from a lot of men, when you ask, well, when did you first discover it? When was, and it always goes back to, well, not always, but mostly goes back to their childhood. And they said every time they had the house to themselves, those clothes went off. And, they couldn't tell their parents because there were issues there. But I just find that amazing that so many people wanted to have their clothes off. And in many cases, they could not. But by golly, mom and dad are gone for an hour. Wee! Goes a shirt over the Christmas tree and everything else. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, I wish, obviously, everybody in this community wishes, parents could just say, hey, clothes free is the way to go. But if it's not, then you look forward to those moments like, okay, they're gone. Here they go. And then you keep an eye, on the window, your ear open. If the garage door opens, like, okay, better put them back on.
Mhm.
Goes on a whole bunch, a lot more than we knew, maybe even a few years ago, right?
And certainly, I think we didn't know that a lot of people shared that same feeling and same need. And it's apparently some sort of basic instinct that naturists have, that, we're back to our complete total roots of evolution, when, we were born naked. So why should we be clothed? But yeah, I think it's really kind of surprising that so many people have the very similar thought about how they came into naturism.
Yeah. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, there's a need and a desire to get back to that.
Mhm.
And a lot of guys in particular, I don't know about women. I want to ask you about that in a minute, but a lot of men have told me, including several this past week, yeah, when my parents left, baby, that was my naturism time. Are girls/women wired the same, do you think, or not necessarily?
I I'm not really sure. I wasn't exactly wired that way. My I think my love became of naturism came when I was first getting suntans, and I felt that air, that warmth on me, and then I saw those nice deep white lines, and I'm like, there's something wrong with this. This should not be this way. It's not attractive, and I don't want this, and I love being out in the sun, and so naked became the better choice for me. And but that really didn't come until college, where I had that environment where I could do it, and, pretty much only be with the other gals that wanted to do the same thing.
Well, what about when you were at your house with your parents? I'm sure there were times they went away and left you alone for 10 minutes or a few hours or whatever. Did you ever do that or consider it?
No, I don't think I did. I'm thinking back, most of the time, because I grew up in the South, especially if it was in the summertime, you were wearing, shorts and a t-shirt. So I may have just never thought about it that way.
Okay. I was just curious about that. Obviously, I never had that situation because I was always allowed to be clothes free. So I never had
Mhm.
for mom and dad to leave before the clothes came off. They were already off. The one thing I thought I should not do while they were home, I think I mentioned this, 500 episodes ago or whatever, is in the wintertime when it was snowy. I thought, okay, my clothes are off. What would it be like just to go in the backyard at 8 o'clock at night, parents are gone, and just dive in the snow like a fool? And so I did do that a few times. And I guess that's the same element or level of risk. Like, man, if my parents found out about this, they'd be taking me off to the psych ward and have me analyzed or whatever. But you're a kid, so it's excusable, I guess. And by kid, I don't want you to think I was 5 and my parents left me alone. I was probably 12, 13, 14, 35 or so. No, I'm just but in middle school, I was like, okay, they're leaving. I can go dive in the snow naked. Now I didn't stay out there for hours. It was pretty much within a minute I was coming back in and getting in that warm shower. But yeah, so I can understand that. Parents are gone, clothes come off. It'd be so much better if the parents just said, "Oh, no problem, Billy or Mary, clothes free living for all the right reasons. Here we go." But such is life, right?
It certainly is. And you had told me about the snow story, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just going out and throw. I mean, I've walked out and been naked in when it's snowing, just to feel it, to see what it was like. It was far too cold, but it was kind of fun at the same time in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'm not gonna throw my body into the snowdrift. No, thank you.
I did it two ways. One was the traditional snow angels. You're on your back
Okay.
and the snow is just hitting everything in the backside. But then I would also do a fully frontal plant in the snow. And I can tell you, based on scientific research, back or front, it is doggone cold when you lie down in the snow.
I would think so.
Just thought I'd point that out in case there was any question about that. Oh, yes, it gets cold quickly. You're in the snow and you realize I probably shouldn't stay here too long. But anyway, that's my snow story. And if you don't have a comparable one, we'll move along. How about that?
I don't, because I stayed away from snow as much as possible. You know that.
As you were mentioning, you love to be in the sun with your bathing suit on,
Hmm.
or maybe you didn't want your suit on, but you had to have it on.
Yeah.
And then you would see tan lines. If you think in terms of a body, a work of art, which I view the human body as a work of art, you wouldn't paint, for example, your living room wall that way. It's all one color except the stripes just randomly put in there. You wouldn't do that. You'd cover the whole wall with the same color paint, unless you're doing a two-tone or three-tone. But I'm just saying the traditional wall, You paint it all the one color. Why not paint the human body the same color? And in that case, it's a little bit darker if you're in the sun, right?
Very much so. And it's just if when you are naked and if you I mean even if it's just you and you're naked, those white pasty body parts when you have a really good tan just don't look attractive
No.
at all. So yeah, I'm all for a natural when it comes to sunbathing.
Okay. Well, as everybody knows, we have a Patreon page. We gave up paid work to do this show for free. The greatest business idea ever in the history of business. I'm sure people like the Carnegie Foundation and Rockefellers will be consulting with us pretty soon. Like, how did you guys do this? But then again, maybe not, I'm thinking. But anyway, there are expenses we have to
Oh,
keep. And we asked you, the listeners, to step forward and help us out. Whatever you can do on Patreon. You can sign up for one of the 4 tiers. You can give a donation, whether it's 4 or 5 cents or 4 or 5 gazillion dollars or anything in between. And we appreciate that very much. Lisa, as you know, on every show we highlight 2 people who recently signed up. Who do we have this week?
this week it's Lloyd and Robert. Nice to have both of them with us and hope they enjoy being a part of the Patreon group.
Yes, thank you for doing that. And Lloyd, thank you very much. And Robert, thank you very much. And a special thank you to all who continue to join us on Patreon. How about merchandise? You're the hostess with the mostest. Anything new and exciting to report?
Well, the holidays are coming up. So if anyone has a naturist on their list that they would like to get something special for, we've got a lot of great things. So just go to nakednudistandnaturist.com and look for the little in shop on the menu bar and go have fun and get something special for somebody.
All right. I plan to stock up on coffee mugs. That's a personal thing. I'll be giving those out for Christmas. And even to some people who don't know that I am a part of this show. So I'll just give it to them. Oh, a podcast show? Well, I think I'll tune in. And depending on when they call me, that's when I will know that that's when they listen. So if they call me next June, like, you didn't listen to the show for 6 months? What the heck? But anyway, that is what I'm going to do. Buy a bunch of naked nudists and naturist coffee mugs, freely distribute them to friends, and we'll see what happens. Maybe
that's a good idea.
I might gain a few friends, actually. You never know, right?
You never, ever know. That's for sure.
All right. Well, on today's show, as you know, when we're done with this segment, we have David Berry and Gary KIGHT from First Coast Naturists, non-landed nudist club in Jacksonville, Florida. But then the next 2 weeks, episodes 145 and 147, we are going. Remember, we had Chris on from Indiana Naturist last spring, summer?
I do. He was great.
Oh, yeah. Really.
I liked him.
Started and built his Indiana Naturist from the ground up. And then he told us about this woman he met early on. Like, man, I probably better tell her because she might be the one. I don't want to get into, hiding things from her. He's the one where they showed up at the first nudist club, and she was apprehensive beginning to end. And so they got there, and he's thinking, well, okay, I'll get out. I'll walk around to the passenger side, help her out, and kind of walk her through this. He said, by the time I got over there, she was already fully naked talking to me. So anyway, that's who we're going to have on, is his wife, Chris's wife, Stephanie. And looking forward to that. We've already done the interview, of course. It's already in the can, as they say in the business.
Yes.
And what a very intelligent woman. She's also on the board for Anner Midwest. And I think she's vice president. We'll get that clear in the interview, but we'll get to that the next 2 weeks.
Okay, sounds great.
Yep. Now, this coming week is our Thanksgiving week in the United States of America. Thanksgiving is the 4th Thursday of November, and that will be next week. But we're still going to do a show on Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time. So as you're making your final preparations for whatever you're going to do for the next day, you can put us on. How about that? And then, Lisa, you and I are hosting a Thanksgiving dinner here. I forgot. Shoot, is it 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night on that Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving? It doesn't matter the time. We'll put that together. But looking forward to that as well. How about you?
I am very much so. And maybe on Wednesday show, we may still be cooking. So you might have a cooking show for the Wednesday Naked and Nudist and Naturist.
Yeah. Now you're making most of the main parts, and some other people are bringing some side dishes. Jennifer is today is her day to actually experiment with pie. She said at home, we'll see how that goes.
Yes.
If it comes, if she shows up with pies and they say Publix on the box, well, we'll know what happened there. Uh, but people have asked me, like, okay, Frank, what exactly are you making? And my answer is, well, somebody has to be the supervisor, right?
Oh, yes. And you're such an exceptional supervisor in the kitchen. Yes. We don't know how we'd ever cook without you.
I have never tried to give you any directions at all in the kitchen. I can't imagine that that would go well for me.
Well, suggestions are always warranted, but
Right.
no, maybe it's probably smart you don't. No, I'm not like that. I always enjoy cooking with people, so it's kind of fun.
Okay. Well, if I walked in, oh, Lisa, you're using an entire stick of butter. I was thinking 3/4 of a stick would be sufficient for that particular meal. I think you would say, Frank, do you see the door over there? If you open it and walk outside, I can lock it when you leave. Why don't we do that now? I think that's how that would play out. It's my personal.
No, it possibly might, but I would also remind you of something that I am from the South, and in the South, butter is king. So therefore, if it calls for a stick, you use a stick and a half. So I'm sorry, you're just going to get butter, whether you want it or not.
Well, that was just an example. It could be any ingredient. I can't
I
imagine
know.
anything. Lisa, I think you ought to change the recipe at the last second to this. I can't imagine you instantly saying, why not? Let's do it Frank's way. I just don't see that happening.
Once I'm in the kitchen, just leave me alone. I'm pretty much okay in there. I don't really need a lot of help. I try to clean up as I go because at one time in my life when I was very very young, I was a very very messy chef.
Okay.
Very messy, and I've learned to curb that that ability to get flour all over the ceiling if I have cook baking or something. I
Okay.
don't laugh. I did actually drop flour once and it went everywhere. It was not pretty.
All right. Well, at least we have the truth. You
Yes.
finally admitted to it. All right. And then next Saturday, we'll have a show for you, 6 a.m. Eastern Time on Spotify, as we always do. So a show Wednesday, our Thanksgiving dinner here Wednesday night, Thanksgiving itself on Thursday, and a show Saturday. So it's going to be a rather busy week for us, but we'll get
It
it done, right?
We certainly will, and it'll be fun because, it's a holiday and it's fun spending holidays with people that we, care about, and we do care about our listeners. So this is a good way for us to all enjoy the week together.
Yeah. And the reason we're pointing that out is a show on Wednesday, a day before Thanksgiving, and a show 2 days after Thanksgiving is because we know some people are alone for Thanksgiving. So when we started the show in 2003, we had planned to take that week off. And people wrote in, any way you could do a show, even if it's not a full hour, just because I'm alone for Thanksgiving and I kind of look to you guys as my friends. And we did a show, to say the least. We did a show that Saturday. And so that's why we're continuing to do it. It would be really easy to say, you know what, let's just take the week off. We need to kind of recharge our batteries. We have all this other stuff going on, but we're going to do it. And so we'll be with you on Thanksgiving. Okay, now we have a letter from Mark, Mark from France. We've had him on many times before. And Lisa, we'll probably get through some of the letter today, and then we'll save part of it for next week. You okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. If you remember back on, I believe it was episode 138, that'd be a Wednesday show, we featured Mark. We talked all about Mark and some things that he's done. And I told him we were going to do that, and he was okay with that. And then we did it, and I sent him the link, and then I never heard back from him. And I thought, well, that's unusual. And Mark usually writes back, but I also know he's very busy. So I waited a period of time, and finally I thought, yeah, I better check in on him. So I wrote and I said, did you get the link to the show when we talked about you? Hello, we talked about you. I want to make sure you got it. And so about a week ago or so, he wrote back. And so his greeting at the top of the email, Lisa, is only because I personally reached out and he personally wrote back to me. Do not take offensive to this. If you don't mind, read the greeting in the first paragraph.
First, let me say I would never take offense for that from anyone, but also definitely never from Mark.
Okay.
Okay, so let's read it. It says, "Hey Frank, yes, I listened to it when it was released on Wednesday, but in fast forward mode. And then I came back to it this morning during my naked workout. Man, you made me laugh and blush when you and Lisa were finding artists called by their first names only. In France, we have a lot of Sheila, Dalida, Angélie, Zaz, Jules, Stromae, I hope I got those right, but I don't think I'm as famous as those and the ones you mentioned. I'm just Mark from nudeandhappy.com, aka Stan Muir, a passionate nudist and naturist who happens to write down his passion.
Well, I think he's underplaying his role. Yeah, I think he's as famous as Sheila or Delita or anybody else he mentioned, right?
I think so too. At least in this world, he certainly is.
Oh, no, I guess he said he's not as famous as the ones we mentioned. No, I see him far and above Cher and Madonna and Beyonce and Elvis.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right, so second paragraph. But hey, thank you so much for reading my mail and commenting on it, and particularly around the fact that our body has been designed to be clothes free. This is something I deeply believe in, an aspect that we are probably not contemplating enough. We tend to measure ourselves to the fact that we invented civilization that allows human beings to strive. But particularly in the last 200 years, we humans are destroying our planets. We are destroying our health. There are pandemics of obesity, diabetes, mental health issues, and cancers, all caused by our, begin quote, modern way, end quote, of living. And we are destroying life around us, and we call ourselves civilized. Very deep, and we agree on everything, but let's finish the next paragraph, and then we'll talk a little bit.
I believe that nudism and naturism are part of the solution. We all know and live the many benefits of nudism and naturism in our physical, mental, psychological, emotional, and spiritual health. Every guest you have shares those many beliefs and how naturism and nudism have transformed their lives for the better. We all know that one of the biggest regrets of late naturism is not to have started sooner. We also know that one of the most important aspects of naturism is respect for oneself, others, and the environment. It's not about being naked. It's about seeing others as human beings, and nudity allows us to be totally vulnerable to one another.
Where did this guy come from? Did he come from like the genius book of naturism? They just dropped him on Earth, put him in France to write to us, or what?
I have to say this about Mark, and I know he listens, so I'm not trying to, embarrass him, but he has an uncanny ability to cut through the realisms of what is happening on this planet and with people, and really has a way of being so articulate in expressing that, and it's just amazing. And I find I would like to quote him more than I do, because there's some very profound and very deep meanings to the things that he says.
Yeah, very much so. And to me, a lot of people think naturism, nudism, clothes-free living, it's just all about getting naked and showing off your bodies or whatever. And, oh, look at that body and look at mine. I'm naked, by the way, because that's what we see a lot in social media. These people who put out 5,000 naked pictures of themselves every day. That's not naturism, folks. That's just, I want people to see me naked, call it exhibitionism or whatever. But to me, it's a very seriously deep situation because two reasons. First of all, the first one I've said many times, that's how we're born. We're literally born naked. We were meant to be naked. Everybody is just thrilled that we've arrived. The big lights are on. The curtain is open. Here we are, world. Or here I am, world. And everybody's cheering and smiling and buzzing around. All of their attention is on you. We have a desire to get back to that. We want to be noticed and loved and appreciated and naked. I really believe that. So much so that I think it's a significant part of life, as significant as water. Our bodies were meant to put water in it. That's what keeps us going. And when we stop doing that, bad things tend to happen. Organs, shut down, and lots of other health issues. To me, it's that serious. It's not just clothes free because, hey, baby, I'm naked. It's a very deep emotional connection, as he mentioned. The benefits of nudism and naturism: physical, mental, psychological, emotional, and spiritual health. I think he nailed it right on the money. What do you think?
He certainly did. And, it's a lot of it has to do with how we treat ourselves, how we look at ourselves. And there's an old Indian proverb, and I'm not going to get it exactly right. I was trying to sit here and think about it, but a little boy asked his grandfather, how do I know if I'm going to be a good person or a bad person? And the grandfather says, within us there lives two wolves. one who is angry and one who is kind. The little boy says, "Well, how will I know which one I'm going to be?" And he said, "It all depends on which one you feed." And I did not do that justice because it's a much better articulated story, but the fact is that it's what we feed ourselves inside that makes us who we are. And if we look at naturism as what we think it is, and that's just a joy of life, a joy of the environment, being who we are without the pretense of, clothing or cars or whatever, that then we become that kind wolf. We become someone who's in tune with what's really important in life. And the bad wolf is the other side of the coin, at least in this case. And it just, I guess it depends on what people want to be.
Yeah. And of course, he mentioned one of the biggest regrets of late naturists, people trying it later in life, was not to have started sooner. I've never met anybody who tried naturism and said, well, that's not for me. Give me 5 pairs of pants next time. I suppose there have been people. I just don't know any of them personally. Well, let's save the second half of this letter for next week.
Okay.
And this, again, from Mark from France and nudeandhappy.com. The link is in the show notes. And Lisa Monroe, if you promise to stay clothes-free for the next half hour or so, we'll get together at the end of the show. How about that?
I will definitely promise that, and I'll see everybody in just a little bit.
All right. Sounds good. The very terrific Lisa Monroe. She does it all around here. You know all that she does. And now I can't personally wait to taste her cooking on this coming Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving. Well, we are the official podcast for the American Association for Nude Recreation. Are you a member? If so, great. But if not, you can become one today. Just go to AANR.com. Follow the navigation to membership, and within moments, just like Lisa Monroe is and just like I am, you will become a fully fledged member of the American Association for Nude Recreation. How about that? Well, you are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 143 today. We appreciate you being with us. We hope you're having a great clothes-free day wherever you happen to be today while listening to the show. And now let's get to part 2 of my interview with David Berry and Gary KIGHT from First Coast Naturists in Jacksonville, Florida. Part 2 with David Berry and Gary KIGHT. That's what I found. I went to Playa Linda Beach one time. It's been a number of years. I tell people on the show I'm 27, but this was 30 years ago, before I was born. I went to the beach, and there were a lot of people there monitoring the beach. They had shirts on, matching polo shirts with some insignia on it. And I didn't know what was going on then, but probably Anner people walking up and down the beach. And there was one guy standing. He didn't have any clothes on at all, but he appeared to be the boss. Heck, as far as I know, it could have been you, Dave. But they were always reporting to him. They saw this, they saw that, and they took care of business right away. And really, that's the best way. We take care of our own business. And if somebody acts in a manner that's not favorable to naturism, nudism, clothes-free living, it's best to report and get them the heck out of there, right?
I think one of the things like we said on the website is that when you're nude, you shouldn't be doing anything that you wouldn't do in front of your mother or daughter or granddaughter or at the Marriott.
Yeah.
Poolside.
Yeah.
If you follow those rules, you're okay.
Yeah, it's so simple, isn't it?
Yeah, it is simple, actually.
Yeah, it really is. Also on your website, and either one of you can answer this. I don't want to leave Gary out here, so Gary, chime in if you want to.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me, but you talked about basically you're just regular people hanging out doing regular things that people with clothes on would do. The only difference is you have your clothes off. And you said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, you eat food, you have stuff to drink, you might even flirt a little bit here or there. And I thought, finally, an honest, non-landed, even landed naturist club, because you're human beings. And as I told you before we started recording, too often people say, man, well, I never look at the naked women at a naturist beach. And I want to say, oh, baloney. Of course, everybody looks at the naked women on a naturist beach, and they look at the naked men too. We just don't linger. We don't stare. We don't go up and try to hit on them or smack them on the backside or anything. But to say you don't look, that's just ridiculous. And you admit openly on your site, Yeah, we enjoy each other's company. We might flirt, but we're not swingers. You make that very clear, right?
To answer your question, Frank, listening to your podcast for as long as I have, you always say in your past life you would have a suit on and you'd meet a CEO and they would have. With us, you could be next to the CEO and or a judge or whoever, but we're all clothes free, so we're all equal at that point, which is something that I enjoy because there's no I'm better than you, you're better than him, vice versa, whatever the case is, you know?
I found myself at a nudist club some years ago, and I was talking to this one guy. We just struck up a conversation about sports, and we were going on for a long time. And later, the person I was with said, "Wow, I didn't know you knew him." And I said, "Well, I didn't. You know, we just kind of met and started talking." And she said, "Do you know who that is?" And I said, "No." He just gave me his name, Bill. I don't want to give his last name. It turns out he was a congressman at the time. So I was sitting at a nudist club talking to a congressman. I didn't know it, and he didn't tell me. And so you don't know who you're going to meet. And you're right, Gary. That's what is the great equalizer. We're not showing up in fancy jewelry and fancy clothes. And I have a $2,000 suit on. You have a $10 suit on. None of that's going on, which makes it even better, right?
Yeah, we're just regular people sitting down, whether we're having lunch, dinner, whatever. We're socializing in the pool, playing bunco, doing whatever. You're just hanging out with the next guy, next gal.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest things we try to dispel through the show is being nude, being socially nude with other people does not equate to a wild, free-for-all sex party. Two totally different areas of life. And we don't support the last one. We fully support the first one. And we've adopted that phrase, clothes-free living, for all the right reasons. That's why we've done that. We still have that stigma, though, don't we? Going back to you, Dave, because I get it every once in a while, too. If people find out I'm a nudist, "Oh, you're one of those. You probably have babes over all the time." It's like, no.
Yeah.
And then I'll purposely spend time with them, educating them, whether they like it or not. They're going to hear it from me.
I've actually had people tell me, well, this isn't as exciting as I thought it would be, and it's
Even
like,
better.
well, it's not. It's just people being people.
Yeah.
We just don't have clothes on. I mean, you get that from newbies all the time. I see on forums, it's always the same thing. Well,
Yeah.
what if I get an erection on the beach? Well, you know what? It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Right.
When you're when it's a non-sexual situation, you're not turned on by that, and I mentioned that in my website, in our website, that we flirt. Well, we're just normal people, and yes, you flirt with people and you cut up and you have fun, and it's everything. We do everything that normal people do at a pool party, that's a clothing pool party. Occasionally I have to step in and tap them on the shoulder and say, "Okay, guys, take it somewhere else,"
Yeah.
because people are people, and I hate to be the policeman, and sometimes they need to tap me on the shoulder too, because I'm not perfect. But most of the time we've had very good success. I think in 12 years, I think we've had to remove 2 single guys, 1 single girl, 2 couples in 12 years from the group because they kept acting inappropriately and just didn't want to follow rules at all, or were just out and out wackos. So
Yeah. Well, over 200 people times 12 years, and you just had a handful. That's basically nothing
Yeah.
at all, right? That's pretty good.
yeah.
And, one of the things we do on this show is we don't talk about normalizing naturism. We say that it already is normal. It's just our job is to educate everybody else that this is just normal activity and normal behavior.
Mhm.
And we're fighting the good fight, and so are you. But you still get some of that sometimes when people hear you run a nudist club. "Oh, well, I guess Dave's kind of a wild and crazy guy," which doesn't equate at all, does it?
Well, when I met my wife, I was single at the time, obviously, and
That's good.
we were at a singles meet and greet, and I walked into the room and I looked around. There was like 30 women in there that looked pretty good to me,
Yeah.
and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go meet everyone I want to meet." So I would introduce myself. "Hi, I'm Dave. I'm a nudist and I have a nipple ring." About 99% of them said, "Ew." And then I said, "Well, thanks. Nice meeting you." And then I came up against my wife and I said, "Hi, I'm Dave. I'm a nudist and I have a nipple ring." And she said, "Oh, I've been to a nude beach." So the rest is history,
That's right.
So many people are curious about it. At the same time, they'll say, "Well, I could never do that." We have one lady in the group. I won't mention her name, but
Right.
Gary knows her. But she said, "I'll never do that. I
Yeah.
will never do that." And we got her to the beach, got her looking for shark's teeth, got her nude, and the rest is history. She loves it now, and she can't imagine going to the beach and ever wearing a bathing suit now.
Yeah.
So it's really just exposure, literally exposure, but
Mhm.
experiencing that. That's a hard word to get out. But you do the experience, then you understand it, and it's until you do it, you really don't understand it, I think.
Yeah, and I can add one thing that I like about the club is when I first joined, been there about 5 years. I first joined, I was a single guy. There was a female that joined at the same time, and she was kind of weary. Nobody pressured her. You go at your own pace. That's our philosophy. When I met my current girlfriend now, she was the same way. Both those ladies are, footloose and fancy free now. They're,
Mhm.
I don't want to wear a bathing suit. I don't want to wear that because it's, the one thing about our club, we have one or two people that do wear a suit. Some girls will wear a bottom. There's no judgment. You go at your own pace, which is
Yeah.
one thing that I really like. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with it. But I can respect other people's hesitation.
Yeah. Even last night, well, it was before dark hit, so maybe 5 p.m., 4 p.m. One of my neighbors is hardly ever in town. She lives elsewhere, but well, she was here yesterday. She showed up. And if she really wanted to, she could see me in the pool. She'd have to go out of her way, but it can easily be done. And I thought, I probably ought to put a suit on. So I put a suit on, got in the water, immediately took the suit off, and put it on the side of the pool, and she couldn't see anything if she looked out anyway. And then I put the suit on before I got out. But even that minimal amount of time, probably 15 seconds before I got in, and maybe another 15 as I got out. So 30 seconds, one time dry, one time wet. I thought that's 30 seconds too much. What are we doing here? And so, yeah, once you get into it, you realize clothes free is the way to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And something else I noticed on your website, which makes perfect sense, you kind of sort of have a bit of an unofficial boundary in terms of mileage from your home for people to join, because you want people to be active members. So if they live in, Timbuktu, they're not going to be able to show up every week or every month. And is it about a 60-mile radius, kind of, sort of, or
Yeah, we try to, if you drive more than an hour, it's kind of onerous to have to, drive farther than that to come to one of our events.
yeah,
So we do kind of draw a radius around Jacksonville 60 miles. Now, some people do live further than that, and because they don't mind driving,
yeah,
and that's okay with me. And we've also got people that have moved out of the area and they're still members. And if they don't come into town, they'll meet us at Lake Como, or they'll meet us down at Cypress Cove, and they're still active members whenever they can be. So um, it does encourage participation to keep the radius small. Meetup, it's so easy to join a group on Meetup,
mhm,
and I get requests from South Carolina and North Carolina and Georgia, North Georgia, and it's like, folks, sorry, but you're not going to be able to participate if you live that far away.
yeah,
And out of our 200 members, I would say we probably have 90 members that are strong participants who try to come to everything. My backyard party in the summer is called, we've named it the Epic Party, because we had 72 people back here in my backyard one
Whoa.
summer. And that became the Epic. So now we have a pre-Epic in June, and we have an Epic in August. So it's just kind of funny. But one of the things I wanted to mention about Meetup was that it has an RSVP function, which is one of the building blocks that I liked, because not everybody can host 80 people in their backyard, or 60 people, or even 50.
Mhm,
A lot of times it's because of how many cars you can keep on the street. Parking is a problem.
yeah,
In Gary's case, they like about 40 to 45 people in their backyard when they have a pool party.
mhm,
And it has to do with how much room you have in your house too. I don't really put a limit on mine, so anybody who wants to come can come to mine. We accommodate them. But we are allowed to limit capacity in our houses, and it's a first come first serve. So it's you RSVP when we post the event, and every January we have a planning meeting, and we map out the entire year what we're going to do. And through the year, if we have an open weekend and somebody wants to host, we can slot that in. But generally, from January on, we know where we're going to be. October 12th, we're going to be, or October 22nd, we're going to be in Cypress Cove for Nudapalooza. So that's one of the things we do. We don't like to leave anybody out at parties, but it does allow the host to kind of limit how many people show up. So you can plan food, you can plan cups and saucers and plates, paper plates and silverware or picnicware or whatever. So that's a useful function.
And to add, Frank, on that with about the meetup, we do have some people that will do a little pop up fill in, like they'll do a hike or they'll do a canoe trip or they'll go to Playa Linda or something. Just and it might be should be 4 or 5 of the members. They get together. They have a Wednesday off. We're going to go to the beach or whatever. So they fill in little slots here and there with that.
Absolutely. That's and I kind of stress that the club is a resource. So if you don't want to wait for an event, like Gary said, people like kayaking, so they have found some areas up in the Nassau Sound area there where they can get up into these little lagoons and backwaters and do some nude kayaking with nobody around. So that goes on. Some hikes in Ocala National Forest. So we have active members, and it's like I said, the club is kind of a resource also, not only the main events, but certainly allows other nudists to get with other nudists and go do things, if especially if they have a sailboat or a motorboat or something like that, they can get together.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Well, in a given year, what is the swimming pool season for you guys? You start in about March or April or May, and when do you end?
It depends on who has the heated pool or not.
Okay. Okay.
One of our members has a heated pool, and they can, turn it up. Dave's pool and my pool are not heated, so we lose about a month prior and a month after. So
Yeah.
depending on how you like it, April to August, September, depending on the situation.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty long season. And then with the heated pool, you can extend it on both ends, right?
My wife is still getting in our pool, and I think she's crazy because it's about 70. It's about 73 degrees right now. You lose about a month on either end. My pool takes June before it really warms up enough for me to get to be 84 to 85 degrees. And you lose it as soon as the nights start cooling down in September. You lose the heat off that thing. So I'm really considering the heater for next year. I really would like to add those 2 months to the calendar.
Well, I can tell you, I have a heater for my pool, and I usually have family down here in late December and the first half of January, the coldest part of the year. And believe me, that heated pool comes in handy. We can't stay out of it once it's heated up, because it's just the greatest thing in the world. And then if you get out, you get the chill in the air, you dry off, you're good to go. So I highly recommend it if you're up to getting one.
It's really funny. North Florida, we have in the wintertime, you just pick your days. We'll have a day where it's 45, and then 2 days later it'll be 75.
That's true.
And the outside temperature is great for nudism, but then the pool's so cold.
Yeah.
So for instance, we have a Veterans Day event every year. We have a Veterans Day brunch, another reason to get nude, but also we ask everybody to throw $10 in the hat, and all that goes to a veterans program here for dental work for veterans. And I always tell them, bring your fuzzy slippers and your house robes, because you might need it, because in the last couple of years it's been 65 degrees during the day. But we do fire pits, and you can cozy up to the fire pit or jump in the hot tub. So it all works out, and it's a good deal. We do Bloody Marys and mimosas, and it's just a good time. We have brunch food. Like I said, we don't need a whole lot of reasons to take our clothes off, but we create reasons. So.
Well, I was thinking back to that newspaper that was on your lap at your first nudist club. You just look at the front page of the newspaper and look at the day, And if it ends with the letter Y, you're good to take your clothes off now, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
A couple of things about your club I wanted to ask you about. The one time I was there was food everywhere. There was a long buffet line basically in the guy's kitchen, Glenn's kitchen you mentioned. And did everybody bring something that day, or is that provided by the host, or how do you run your club?
The host generally will do a meat dish, and this is a benefit of the RSVP function, so we know how many people are coming, and we really kind of crunch on that hard. It's like, okay, you said you were coming and you didn't show up. So I try to. That's probably my biggest problem with the group, is getting people to realize when you commit and show up, because somebody is making food based on you saying you're coming. So no, everybody we want everybody to try to bring something. I tell them, bring what you like and bring enough to share.
Okay.
And some people bring desserts, some people will bring salads to complement the meat dish. I usually make pulled pork. Glenn makes hamburgers and ribs a lot of times, hot dogs. So, if you're hungry in our group, you're not showing up because you didn't show up if you're hungry, because if you showed up, there's plenty there to eat. And because of that, we don't have a lot of problem with over drinking, because there's lots of food there. It is, people have fun and stay pretty sober.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was food everywhere. It was great. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is, for men, you mentioned you have some single men there. If a guy isn't sure, do I want to wander into a nudist club and I don't know, I'm feeling insecure about it. But most men will say, if something goes wrong, I can handle it myself. I'm a man, by golly, and I'll punch people in the nose or whatever. Well, women have a different view of life. And when I went to your club, there were a lot of women there of various ages. What is it that you do? I think I know the answer because you've kind of sort of hit on it. What is it that you do to make the women feel really comfortable and welcomed as they appeared to be the day I was there?
I don't know. I think if they're single women, we try to make them feel welcome and secure and safe. We don't pressure them to if they want to just take their time disrobing and getting in the feel of things. We don't pressure them. I do police the single guy to make sure that they're not pressuring them, in a dating way where they, are hitting on women and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, of course, we've got people that have gotten together because of the group. So you can't prevent that. I mean, as a matter of fact, I tell single guys, bring your girlfriend with you, and eventually they do a lot of times, so it's, I think the big thing is just making them feel safe and know that, if there's a problem, they can come to me or come to Gary or come to Glenn or whoever and let us know, and we'll take care of it. And most of the time it's just a couple of words to a guy. If he's too pushy, tell him to back off, and that's enough. And like I said, in over 12 years, we really haven't had that many problems. One of the guys we had to throw out of the group, he was being pushy on men and women. So we had to toss him because he wasn't making both groups unhappy. So
when you tick off the whole group, it's probably time to go, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
I can add that respect the person, whether it's female or male. Feel them out on what their exposure, so to speak, to this is, and if they want to wear a bathing suit, if they want to if they want to have a robe on, then okay, that's fine. That you do you. Don't criticize them for what they're doing. Hey, we're all here to have fun and make you feel comfortable.
Now, do you have that same line of thinking when it comes to men? Like if a guy shows up at your nudist club and keeps his clothes on, do you get a little concerned? Or do you try to say, hey, you're here, you probably ought to take something off, or what?
I haven't seen that per se. Dave's been around it a little more. He might be able to answer that.
I think in 12 years, there's been one guy who showed up like that. And he had a bathing suit on, and I think I did take him off to the side and say, we're clothing optional, but if you want people to pay attention to you, keep that bathing suit on.
That's right. Time to exercise that option.
We actually tell the ladies that too. You're going to draw more attention by having your suit on than if you're just nude. They're going to say, what's going on there? But we are a clothing optional club. most nudist resorts you go to, you have to be nude in the pool
Mm-hmm.
or in the pool deck area.
Yeah.
We don't have that rule, but by and large, we don't have that many members that still want to wear a piece of clothing. I mean, they're pretty much, they assimilate after a while.
Well, the day I was there, I don't know how many people were there. I'll ask you for the number in a minute, but I didn't see anybody with anything on at all. Men, women, didn't matter the age. Everybody was nude. Do you remember about how many people were there that day? I know it's been a couple of years, but
I think it was around 50.
that's
I
what I
think
thought. Yeah, yeah.
And the women, when they come out of the pool, they'll throw a parade on when they're sitting around the lounging or what. That's common with women. They like to have a little bit of flair too. A bathing suit cover up, they'll wrap around them. So that's pretty common. So that's not unusual at all. Even at resorts, they'll do that. So
yeah, quite true.
Yeah.
We've been talking to David Berry today and Gary KIGHT. They're from First Coast Naturist, a non-landed nudist club in the Jacksonville, Florida area. And gentlemen, before we go, any last words? Dave, let me start with you.
I would just say that if you're in an area of Florida where you're not close to a resort, or maybe are close to a resort, it's very easy to start a non-landed group, a traveling group. I recommend it. There's people in your area that maybe haven't been to a resort, they haven't been to the beaches, but they're curious about it. And if you build it, they will come.
Yeah. Now, with ANR, to become an ANR club, ANR non-landed club, there is a minimum number of people you have to have. What is that number?
For a non-landed group, 15 members.
Okay. And so you can't be affiliated with them until you get that number.
Yeah.
But you have time to build that up, correct?
Well, once you get 15 members, then you can apply for a charter.
Yeah.
And I think it's $100 to join as a charter member. You get a plaque and you're recognized. You get your name, your club's name put in the ANR website. So people who are looking for a group, you're right there.
Mm-hmm.
And let me also throw, I'm of course I'm involved with ANR, but I don't want to neglect the Nature Society also.
Right.
Because I'm a member of the Nature Society. TNS is the initial sometimes people use. But that's a very national group also. More, I would think, leaning towards the nature side, which is more the outdoor, hiking outdoors, that sort of thing. More beaches, more so than resorts. But we do both. But the TNS is a great organization. They put a beautiful quarterly magazine out. I recommend that also for naturists. If you're curious about what's going on in other parts of the country, certainly join TNS. That'll get you discounts at resorts also alongside your ANR membership.
Oh, very good.
10 to 15% a lot of times. So, there's a benefit also to ANR, not just supporting our rights, but also, you get some discounts also that goes with your membership. So it's a good thing.
We had their president on, Cynthia Holbach. She was on, I want to say last November of 2024, and is doing great work there as well. So we got the two leading organizations right now being led by women and both doing amazing work. It's not easy, but they're in there every single day plugging away, aren't they?
Right. Yeah. And Linda Weber is the president of ANR right now, and she's a force to be reckoned with. So
absolutely, in a very positive way.
Yes.
And that's why she is supported here. And I know you support her as well. We even talked about her. In fact, the day I came to your place in 2023, that was the day her first interview was going to appear on the show. Now, she wasn't the president yet. She was a mere director out in the West region. But she's going on to bigger and better things since then.
Sure.
And become the president, obviously, and hopefully another 2 years after this. And that's just great to hear. You guys are doing amazing work. And keep up all you're doing. And Gary, KIGHT, before we go, any final words from you, sir?
Well, I think I can speak for Dave, but you've been to one of our parties, and I would enjoy for you to come back. You or anybody plus anybody in the surrounding area, couples that want to get involved with a nudist group. We're here. Come check us out. Either we're your cup of tea or we're not.
Yeah, very well said. And, back to ANR for a minute, I've talked to a few non-landed club owners. They said they were doing reasonably well. Things were going kind of sort of okay and maybe even very good. But then they joined ANR. And all of a sudden, participation and numbers went way up because people would see them on the website and like, oh, here's a club, only 30 miles away from us, honey. Let's call them up. And so that's
Right.
an added benefit to that too, right?
Well, that's free. It's not free advertising, obviously, but because you're a charter member. But yes, via the bulletin, which is their monthly magazine, or their online newsletter. Banner, Florida we have our own newsletter. Yeah, you're out there. If you look in the back of the TNS directory, we're in there.
Yeah.
People can see, that we're here in Florida, and that's your advertisement so people know you're here and they can check us out.
Yeah.
And we have a we have a meet and greet every month, actually, and we try to do it on either side of the river in Jacksonville. We got the St. Johns River running right through the center of things. We would do one on the west side, and we do one on the south side of Jacksonville, so folks don't have to travel so far. But that's our opportunity for them to come and meet us and become a member, or just ask questions if they're curious. We've had that happen, and they didn't join, but they were just curious about it.
Yeah, and check it out. Well, it's been great to have you guys on the show today. And we've been talking to Gary KIGHT and David Berry from the First Coast Naturist, the Jacksonville, Florida area. And Dave, before we go, what is the website? How do people get a hold of you or the club?
It's firstcoastnaturist.com. Simple as that when it's working.
That's true. We'll get it working later today.
It should be working on a daily basis, but firstcoastnaturist.com, or they can email me at daveberry@firstcoastnaturist.com.
All right, perfect. Great to have you guys on. And if anything else happens down the road, give us a call. We'll get you back on the show. And Gary KIGHT, thank you, sir. Go out there and have a great close-free day. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
And Dave Berry, the founder, owner of the First Coast Naturist in Jacksonville, Florida. And go out there and have a great close-free day. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, guys. The very terrific David Berry and Gary KIGHT from First Coast Naturists, a non-landed nudist club in Jacksonville, Florida. We invite you to check them out. The link is in the show notes. And we thank David Berry and Gary KIGHT from First Coast Naturists for all of their time on these last two Saturday shows. And on the next two Saturday shows, which will be episodes 145 and 147, our special guest will be Stephanie Brown from Indiana Naturists. And before we head for the hills, in time to get ready for next Wednesday's show and dinner and Thanksgiving and Saturday show and everything coming up, let's bring back in our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Welcome back, Lisa.
I'm glad to be back, and it sounds like it's going to be a busy week. I think I'm getting tired already.
Really great to talk to David Berry and Gary KIGHT. David obviously is the founder and owner of First Coast Naturist, but he's built it from the ground up. Didn't even have a club, just started one, and out of nowhere he's built it up to a pretty formidable group now. And they do some traveling to various nudist resorts or whatever they do, and they have a lot of gatherings at people's homes, and it just seems like a really positive environment to promote naturism. What do you think?
It certainly is. And I think it comes back to what we've talked about all along. Hey, you don't live in an area where there's a nude beach. You don't live in an area where there's a resort without driving several hours. Then find your, as that one guy on TikTok says, find your joy and find out, where you are and see who the people in your community. And that's the way you get that camaraderie and that relationship and enjoy naturism socially.
Yep. And that's what he's done. And we didn't do this on purpose, but we just had, 2 weeks of a non-landed club. We're going to have 2 more weeks of a non-landed club the next 2 weeks. Again, we didn't schedule it that way on purpose. But Stephanie Brown from Indiana Naturist, Chris's wife, will be with us. Also, I believe the vice president of Anner Midwest. So looking forward to that. And Lisa Monroe, if you promise to stay clothes-free, we'll let you go until Wednesday. How's that for a deal?
Sounds good. You do the same, and we will see everybody on Wednesday with a pre-Thanksgiving show.
Sounds good. Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudist, and Naturist, episode 143 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and on most Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked Nudist and Naturist.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist. Have a great clothes-free day.